Hi, guys. So I have had so much going on in the last couple of weeks. I'm super excited to really launch it and share it with you. And I'm not trying to be cryptic or anything, but it's just not totally ready yet. I've had a sales funnel created. I don't speak the lingo because this is all new to me, but apparently, whenever you put out a program or something that is going to be sold online, you create a sales funnel. So I went through in May and hired someone to do that for me. And that just got finished in the last couple weeks. In the process of doing that, I hired a good friend to be my copywriter. She wrote the copy for me. She also very kindly created my website for me. I've got an online community I'm creating and getting ready to roll out. It's just been very, very busy on top of a really busy summer, a lot of travel, really great things, but really triggery things. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's so much that comes into putting yourself out there. And, you get imposter syndrome and you think, well, who am I to do X, Y, and Z? Who am I to be the one? And then, something else comes in and says, why not you? Why shouldn't it be you? If not you, who? You've done it. Why not you? And see, there's just all of this that you're doing when you're in the creation process, when you are getting ready to launch something that is your heart and soul into the world, right? And so I have been in that process, and I knew that I'm not going to be one of those people who doesn't practice what she preaches, right? Around, planning in advance for the triggery moments. You know you're going to get triggered. You know you're going to have times that you're busy or you're sleep deprived or somebody stabs you in the back and you want to eat or you want to drink or you want to sleep. And so I had a friend recommend, why don't you try Pure Barre with me? Why don't you start coming to Pure Barre with me? Which, if you know anything about like all the different places you can go, Pilates, Fit Body, Crossbody, yoga, hot yoga, all the things. Pure Barre is one of them. And I was like, well, sure. I kind of have balance issues. If you recall, I fell at the beginning of the summer and hurt my back. Like, I kind of balance issues. This really should help with balance. Let's do it. I really loved it. So, of course, me, I can get into, I love, like, I think most of you know, or if you don't know, if you're just coming across my YouTube, I'm an astrologer. I'm astrology trained. And so my sun and my moon sit in the sixth house, which is ruled by Virgo. Virgos are all about routines, about lists, about structure. And you put that in the sixth house of ritual, of routine, of self, of body. And my sun and moon live there. So my personality and my emotions, they live there. My ego, I guess I should say, and my emotions, they live there. So this is like, once I love something, I am all in, right? So I'm like, oh, Pure Barre, I am all in. I am going to just kill it. I want my exterior body to look and feel as strong as my interior body has become. And while I've had great weight loss, you don't lose 170 pounds and your skin goes, okay, now we're just going to be nice and taut, and all your little muscles are going to show, and it's going to be great. And that's not how it works. No matter how you lose weight, you can eat all the protein in the world. I am telling you, at 53 years old, 170 pounds down, even though it took me 2.5 years to get there, things jiggle. They jiggle. Well, they don't jiggle as much, but they jiggle. Anyhow, so I go to Pure Barre and I'm like, oh, I love this. This is great. I am absolutely all in for the Pure Barre. And they've got these challenges and I'm loving the challenge. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go. I'm going to meet these goals that I've made. And it was working and it was great. My friend Marcy was meeting me there and we were having a great time. And My daughter Caroline was going with me, and she's like, were hard workouts. I'm like, you're right. Look at this. This is amazing. And what happens? I pulled out my back. So 4 days ago, I hurt my back. And the thing is, and the reason why I'm sharing all this with you is that, yes, we could on the surface level say, I hurt my back because I overextended. I maybe pushed myself too hard. I was going every day to give my body time to recover. It was in fatigue state. And so if I went out of form at all, which is exactly what happened during a deadlift, if I go out of form at all, I'm going to be at risk of injury. And I had this prior injury that happened at the beginning of the summer. And so exactly that happened. I was in a fatigued state. I didn't, keep my core as strong as I should have. I did a deadlift and boom, that injury just locked right back up. And then here we were. So on a surface level, that all makes sense, right? But I'm a big fan of the book, The Body Keeps the Score. I truly believe that our exterior vessel is the manifestation of what's happening from an interior standpoint. So what's going on in our inner world is going to manifest in our exterior world. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but that clock is ticking. And you can only run and hide for so long. I got to that point 2.5 years ago. I honestly got to that point sooner than that, but I didn't listen. And the more you don't listen, the worse the manifestations ultimately can be, because we are built to be in alignment. We are here to be in alignment. And when we are out of alignment, our body talks. So I go to my amazing Abby, my Reiki practitioner, who's also a cranial sacral specialist, who's also got her master's in physical therapy. I go to her. She worked wonders on me at the beginning of the summer. I mean, she made all my trips possible. I would not have been able to do that. I was so hurt. And not somehow, through her incredible skills in every way, she really made it possible for me to be able to take those trips. So I saw her. I went to yoga trying to stretch it out. It was, so bad that I thought, I'm going to just sit in child's pose the whole time during this class. And then I was able to move. And then I ran into Abby and she got me in. And we were in there. And before she ever even got me on the table, we spent probably a half an hour. And she's like, okay, let's talk about your back. And I'm like, so I'm telling her how I heard it. She's like, no, let's really talk about your back, because there's more than just a re-aggravated injury. That is the manifestation. But why? Why was your back weak? Why, is this where it's showing up? Then so we started to talk. And, in the process of creating my business, of finally bringing into reality, into the 3D, the thing that's been on the inside of me, right? To bring this thing into tangible form that is getting ready in a week to be launched out to the world, maybe with success, maybe not. There's a lot that goes into that internally, where you are doubting yourself. You're doubting, who am I? What does anybody want? What I have to give? All the things, right? Imposter syndrome out the wazoo. And so I'm sitting there with that. And then the person who helped me build the sales funnel for my business, which I'm not techie. So I think now maybe I could create one, but not knowing how to do it, not knowing what really they even are. I didn't know. And so I hired somebody I have known for probably 6 months. I've done some things online with her. I've been impressed with her. I always thought she over-delivered. But I will tell you, this is another case of listening to your intuition. I did have a hesitancy in working with her, because there were just some things in conversations just that I picked up on, and I have a great intuition when it comes to people. And I just thought, she copies. She copies work and she turns it into her own through tweaks, but it's never, and not that I was, the worry I had wasn't that she was going to copy me and put it out there, because it's an online business, right? We're not competing in the same space. Like, she's in another state where I don't even have a following, like, nobody's following me. So who am I competing with her on? I'm building my following. But I was concerned she would build it sooner than me because she is very skilled, and then say I copied her. And a mutual friend was like, no, 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 no. I think you're reading this wrong. I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, I went ahead and hired her. And fast forward, the end of the story, exactly what I feared would happen happened. And I found it over the weekend. And without going into the story, because I'm not in the game of making another person look bad and all of that, I mean, this happened. Fortunately, I had kind of sensed something towards the end of working together, and I had decided to niche down more. I had gone more global in what I was offering, and I decided to really niche down and just stay very focused on the program being a support for weight loss. But initially I didn't. And, but I knew when I changed that copy, the writing that talks about it, I knew when I did that, I was going to do that. I wasn't going to have her or her team by team, her one person, do that for me, because I didn't trust her. And ultimately, over the weekend, not only did she roll something out that was similar, she rolled out something that was nearly identical to what I had built. Even to the day she was like launching it. Now there were components that were different. I will give her that. But because she's not an astrologer, she's not astrology trained, and that's part of what I'm offering is bringing your birth chart into it. She's not trained, so she, modified that, but the words were the same. Like, it was very similar. And I was very, very angry. And I was very, very mad that I had paid someone that I trusted, but I didn't. So I was mad at myself for going against my intuition. I was angry with her for taking my money and my intellectual property and doing exactly what I knew she would do, roll it out before I could. And fortunately, what my end product looks like, it's not something she can say I copied or, try to like shut it down or anything like that. But now, do I think there was malicious intent? Do I think this is maybe just something she's on? I don't know. That's not my journey. My point is that I was angry. And when I got with Abby and she's like, what are you angry? Why are you angry? It really came down to, I was angry at myself. And here's why. I knew it, right? I knew it, and I didn't follow my intuition. And this is like the third time this summer I didn't follow my intuition, and I should have. And so I was mad at myself. I was mad at me. I was angry that I knew better than to be angry. And what does that mean? I knew that, vibrationally, that it's a very low vibration anger. Really, it stems from fear. So then I was angry at myself for being afraid. What was I afraid of? Was I afraid that the world wasn't big enough for two? Was I afraid that I couldn't trust myself? Was I afraid that she would do better than me? But no, what ended up happening is I was afraid of who I would become because of the anger. Because I had spent all of this time healing, right? We're in the spiritual world. We're all about the healing and the shadows and the transcending. And, it all sounds really great when you say it. It all sounds like, oh, I want that. I want to transcend it. I want to transmute it. I want to, you know, rise above it. I want to operate at a higher vibrational level. And all of that is true. It's all true. But in the reality of it, I felt anger at myself for being taken for a ride. I felt anger at her for letting me down and actually being the person I was afraid she would be. I was angry that I paid her. And in the end, she wasn't easy to work with. And I feel like she got more out of that than I did, because in the end, I learned a lot about building it because I ended up building a lot of it. Now, does that mean I did the coding on that behind the scenes? No, I didn't do any of that. But there was a lot more on my plate than I purchased to be on my plate. And that's okay. That was part of my lesson. But I was angry. The thing I was most angry at was what it pulled out of me. And that was the need to win. And it became all consuming. I found it the day I found it, because she had hidden it from me and made a mistake, and it ended up showing up in my feed somehow. But the day that happened, first thing I did was my back was hurting. I had already hurt it because I was in this like spiral with the imposter syndrome and all the things. And so I was in bed on a heating pad, and I saw it happen. And I, hobble down the stairs, and I go straight. I get a beer and I get ice cream. Blah, 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 just blah, blah, blah. And I'm drinking and I'm eating and I'm just word vomiting at my husband. He's like, you got to tone it down. You got to tone it down. And then, I'm like texting my friends. I'm like, can you believe blah, 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 that this happened? But what I didn't tell you is before this happened, the day before I pulled my back again for the second time this summer, I had someone mention to me that was something that I had done successfully locally. That's really just a heart thing for me. I mean, yes, there is a financial energy exchange, if you will. That's how we say it in the spiritual world, the energy exchange. Because, it is. Money is energy. And when you give something, that is also your energy. So you can have an energy exchange in many different ways, but that is not what this YouTube is about. And it had been really successful. And I was so happy about it because it was an in-person thing that I had been dreaming about, that I'd really wanted someone to do, and nobody was doing it. So I did. And it was great. It was magical. And so it's happening again. Like, it's going to be a monthly thing, and it's called the Wildly Sacred Table. And it's just beautiful. It's just where all these really amazing women come together around a meal, and we eat together, and we don't do small talk. We do real talk, and we share our hearts, and we are in a safe container to be able to do that. And then we go out under the moon, under the full moon, and we go deep. What is holding us back? What is keeping us stuck? What do we want to move past? How can we do those things? And then we have some sort of ritualized event. Last month we had a big fire in my fire pit, and we wrote letters to maybe ourselves, to someone we needed to let go of. And they were letters of gratitude. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for teaching me this thing I needed to learn to move into my best self. But I'm releasing you now. I'm letting you go. And, we burned them, and we were witnesses for each other in that. And it was gorgeous, and it was beautiful, and it was under the full moon, and it was under these magical lights. And, we had beautiful fire, little things everywhere. It was just gorgeous. And it was magical. And we're doing it again. And I'm so excited. And there's somebody, I guess, who does something similar around the new moon. And, it came up, do you feel bad because, you might be taking business from them? And, valid question. And I had purposefully done full moon to not do that. Like, I didn't want that to be an issue. But my back, like, was I doing to them what I was worried was going to get done to me that ultimately did get done to me? And the next day, my back went out. And then 2 days later, I find this online. And so I'm angry. And I'm going to this place in myself, the wounded masculine. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. She's not going to win. I'm going to win. I was angry at myself for going to that place because I had worked 2.5 years. I'd spent my careers going into the wounded masculine when I felt threatened, when I felt not good enough, when I felt shame, when I felt fat, when I felt unworthy, when I felt unseen, when I felt like somebody prettier was getting the thing I had earned. And I had healed that, right? I had journaled about it. I had shared it. I had burned it. I had released it. Yet when push came to shove, that ugly part of me said, we're going to win. And how was I going to do that? By going back to that place. That place inside me that feels icky, that feels inauthentic, that feels manipulative. It doesn't feel authentic. And it certainly doesn't feel feminine. And there's nothing wrong with leaning into your masculine side, right? But this was my wounded masculine. And I was so angry at myself for immediately going to that default. I got a beer, I got ice cream. I laid in bed with my sore back and I texted angry words and I felt angry things. And all those circumstances were mirrors reflecting back to me the work that I still needed to do and the forgiveness I needed to give myself. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the knowledge in the world. You can know I need to meditate, I need to journal, I need to regulate my nervous system, I need to get on my yoga mat, I need to go for a walk, I need to put my feet in the grass, I need to do some breath work, I need to talk to someone, I need to listen to someone. You can know all of those things. But if you get triggered and you don't do them, okay, because your human response is imperfect. We are imperfect by design because that is how we learn. That is how we grow. That is how we evolve. And that is how we learn to trust ourselves. And yes, I got into a moment where I spiraled. But you know what I did that I didn't give myself credit for? I got on my yoga mat. My back was killing me. But I drove myself to yoga. I peeled myself out of that car. I hobbled in with my mat. I laid it out myself. Someone offered to do it for me. I said, nope, I chose to be here. I chose to do this. I rolled it out. I told my friend who was the instructor what was going on, and I asked for help. And I got it. And I walked out of there a little straighter, and I ran into my friend Abby, who's also this amazing, very talented healer. And I said, do you have time for me to get on your table? And she said, I will find time. And she did that very afternoon. And I went there and I didn't lie. She asked tough questions and I felt this big. I felt this big for being angry at somebody for copying my work when I should have been proud. I should have felt like, oh, I had something worthy that somebody else wants to duplicate. And if she does and she's successful, my God, think of all the extra women that'll be helped. That's so great. And instead, I went to the ugly place inside of myself and I was angry at myself about that. And I was honest about that. And I was honest about feeling like I had maybe done to someone what I thought was being done to me, even though it looks really different. That was my fear. Because at the end of the day, the underlying emotion behind anger, behind all of it, that is negative is fear. And I was afraid maybe I wasn't being a good person. And I was honest about that. And together we worked through it. And, the end result was, okay, you've realized it. It hasn't even been 48 hours, right? And you've been through the anger. You've allowed yourself to work through that emotion. And now you are into forgiveness and gratitude. The gratitude is thank you for the lessons. Thank you for what I'm learning in this moment early in my business journey. Thank you for that. I needed to learn this. I needed to see this dark side of me. So I recognize it sooner. So it doesn't take me 48 hours the next time. Maybe next time it takes me 36. But the point is I didn't wallow in that anger. I didn't stay in that place. I sought help. Yeah. Did I have that beer? Did I have that ice cream? Yeah. And have I forgiven myself? Absolutely. Because I trust myself. And that's the whole point, right? The whole point isn't to be perfect. The whole point isn't to not get angry. The whole point isn't to let things that aren't okay happen. Right? I called her out on it when I saw this thing online. I did. And I made it very clear that I knew what had happened. But at the end of the day, it's a free country. Like, you do you. And I do hope she is successful. Because if she can pull it off, so many women will be helped. And isn't that the whole point? And millions of people in this world, what am I worried about? Like, I'm not worried. I have nothing to be worried about. I should only be celebrating her. Now, do I like the way she got there? No. Do I wish she would have said, I think this is really great. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, put my own, expertise and knowledge in here where you've got this thing. I'm going to put in this thing. How do you feel about that? Okay, let's have a conversation. But that didn't happen. But maybe that's part of her learning, right? Maybe but that's not the point of this. The point of this is that there are going to be lots of triggering moments on the journey of wellness. And we can't be 100% in all of the moments. And in fact, in the moments when we should be at the higher percentages, we're probably going to be at the lowest. And I think we need to adjust our expectation around that. I think we need to be okay with that being the reality. Did it manifest in my back? It did. And thank God it did, because I never would have been on Abby's table. And I never would have had those conversations where we went so deep that I went from anger at all this noise, really, to anger at myself, to 3 layers below why I thought I was angry at myself, to get to the true anger, which was I was just frankly disappointed in myself. And I was very afraid I was going to fall back into old patterns. And that realization has changed everything, right? It's changed everything. And I have peace now, and my back is healing. So I think what I really want the takeaway to be on this, and why I'm sharing this, is to show that you can lose a lot of weight following a diet plan, taking a GLP-1, however you do it, you can do that, and it's going to work until it doesn't. And when you're in the moment of weakness, of fear, of anger, of whatever it is that's your triggery spot, and you get triggered, what are you going to do? And if the answer is, I'm going to do what I've always done, just grab the ice cream, grab the beer, what are you going to do? You're going to keep doing that? And if you are going to recognize it, are you going to get angry at yourself? And are you going to keep being angry? Or are you going to catch it? And you're going to say, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Everyone goes through this. The ebbs and flows, the highs and the lows. I hit a low, but guess what? I trust myself to pull myself out. And it may not be I went low and then out. Maybe this time it's I went low and then I went out. And then maybe next time it's I went halfway down and then I went out. But the point being, Perfection isn't the goal. Not falling into old patterns isn't even the goal. Recognizing the behavior pattern, trusting yourself once you have dipped and hit that to come out of it and come out of it better with a lesson learned and a recognition the next time sooner. So next time it doesn't have quite the impact it did the first time. When we stay stuck in patterns, when we eat the ice cream and we stay mad and we're talking to people who are bringing us down, it's the other thing. I went to dinner with some friends last night, a happy hour, and we're sitting and we're talking, and this comes up. And, because of my back and, my session with my friend Abby, and I'm sharing what happened. And my friend says to me, and she's just like this amazingly, like, angel on earth, so positive. And she says to me, Peggy, I know you're mad about what you paid this person. Like, I know you're mad at yourself for paying this person and then having, this stuff taken or whatever. Like it's not, but you know what I mean? And she's like, but let me ask you this. And this was literally life-changing for me. Just let me ask you this. And I said, okay. She said, if the universe came to you, if God came to you right now, and he said, okay, Peggy, I have a deal for you. I don't know if you're going to want to take it, but I have one. And here it is. You've got this thing you want to put out into the world, and you're going to change lives with it. These women are just going to really take this, be successful with it, and their lives will be changed because of it. And you know that. And so you have this huge desire to get this out there, but you can't do it. You can't do it. You don't have the sales skill. You're not the skills. You don't have the sales funnel skills to create it, to put it out online. And I have this person who's very good at that. She can do that for you, but she's going to be difficult to work with. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to tell you she's not. And the result's going to be really great. It's going to look beautiful. She's going to be able to do some of the stuff you can't do, but it's going to be hard. It's going to test you, but it's going to look good. But she's going to steal some of your stuff. She's going to copy it. It's going to happen. She can put a little twist on it, but she's going to copy it. You're going to get mad. It's going to happen. And you're going to pay her. You're going to be mad about that. But that money that you pay her, that money you give her, she's going to use that money. And the way she uses that money is going to change somebody's life. I'm going to tell you how. That's not part of your story to know. Your part is you pay her so she can pay someone. And when she pays that person, because that person has that money, it changes their life. Are you going to do it? And I promise you this. At the end of the day, your business is going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be successful. But you're going to go through all of this. Is that okay? Will you do it? Would you do that? And she said, if God came to you and God said this to you, what would you say? And I was like, I would say, hell yeah. Like, who cares? Who cares if I get copied? Who cares if this person's difficult to work with? Somebody's life is going to get changed, like life changing because of whatever happens. I mean, to me, it's not that much money, but it's going to change their life. Yes, I would absolutely. I would do that. She's like, right. So why don't you change your thought about it? Why don't you say, rather than be angry, I am so happy I was able to help this person because she needed the business. I'm so happy I was able to help this person who is now going to be able to help this person to the point that it changes their life. She goes, change your thought. Make it all worth it. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my thought. So if we can get to a place where we are on our weight loss journeys and we are doing all things, we're taking the GLP-1s or we're fasting, or maybe we're doing both. And then we get triggered. And then we can change our thought about the trigger in real time. And if I can help you realize what those triggers are and when they're coming, even better, right? Because that's what astrology does. Even if you're a skeptic, I was a huge skeptic, and that's a YouTube for another day. I might even go into that. Like, this is already long enough. But that's where that's where the genius lies. That's where peace lives. That's when we start to feel whole. When we can change our thoughts in real time from a place of anger and fear to a place of gratitude and acceptance, of trust. Wow, that's how we create heaven on earth, right? And I am just so thankful for the lessons I'm learning. I'm thankful for these moments and, gosh, these beautiful people in my life, right, that keep me on my path. You know, every day I pray, okay, show me the way. Let me be present enough to see it. Give me the breadcrumbs. And these people are my breadcrumbs. These beautiful people in my life are my breadcrumbs. And that's my prayer for you too. Is that you have beautiful breadcrumbs every day. So I have more to come. You'll be seeing a lot more of me because, I don't know, it's part of the process when you're launching a business, apparently. So hopefully this wasn't too long and the story wasn't too boring. But I thought I would share it because, you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing real-time examples of an 170-pound heavier person who's just fighting her way every day to show up in this body as my most authentic self. And I hope to help you do the same.